Welcome to Offscreen. This week we're reading Morgan by Seth W. Owen. A corporate risk management consultant must decide whether or not to terminate an artificially created humanoid being. So Seth Owen, he's originally hails from Montreal, but he now resides in Los Angeles. He has a comedy background. He previously wrote and directed a small movie called Peepers.
Okay.
But this script appeared on the 2014 Blacklist, and it's going to be in theaters, I think Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And it's directed by Luke Scott, son of Ridley.
Nice. Okay. And has he done anything else?
This is his directorial debut.
Wow.
For a feature film. He has a
Okay.
short and a TV episode to his credits. And he worked as an art director on some of Ridley's previous movies, as well as a second unit director.
Oh, okay. Working for Pep Pep.
For what?
Pep Pep?
What's that?
It's like an affectionate name for your dad.
Oh.
Peepums?
I've never heard either of those, but sure. Kate Mara is starring in this, along with Anya Taylor-Joy, who was in The Witch from earlier this year, which is supposed to be quite good.
I thought you went and saw that with us.
No,
Yeah, it
I
was.
wish.
It was good.
Yeah. And so that's that. Brian Cox is also in it. Toby Jones.
Brian Cox is still alive?
Yeah, you best believe it.
I kind of thought...
Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it. Paul Giamatti's in it. Dang,
snap. This is all in Morgan?
All in Morgan, yeah.
Oh, is Paul Giamatti the doctor, the psych evaluation doctor?
Yeah.
Oh, I am excited to see that.
That is good casting. Brian Cox isn't even that old. He's born in 46.
Oh, he's not looking good, though.
Well, who knows when that picture was taken. And
But
also, it doesn't look like good lighting for him.
Yeah, he's been in everything, though, it seems like.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
A lot of good character actors and bit parts there.
Yeah.
And I like Kate Mara as the lead.
Okay.
Do you want to do the synopsis?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Leigh Weathers works as a risk management consultant for a big tech corporation. The job brings her to rural Pennsylvania, where a team of scientists living out of a farmhouse have developed a sophisticated cyborg named Morgan. Morgan recently attacked one of her caretakers, and now it's up to Leigh to determine whether the robot poses enough of a risk to shut the program down altogether. Her decision is made easy when Morgan attacks again, this time killing the doctor brought in to give her a psych evaluation. Still, the staff of scientists defend Morgan. They've lived with her all her life. They created her. They're practically family. Which makes it even more shocking when Morgan suddenly attacks them, too. By the time Leigh finally kills Morgan, only 2 of the staff are left alive. And in one final twist, Leigh kills them both in cold blood. As it turns out, Leigh herself was a cyborg all along. She wasn't sent to assess the risk posed by Morgan. She was sent to test which was the better program. Leigh has won, and now she's, I guess, off to her next job, whatever that is.
Yeah, that's
killing another cyborg or
we're just
whatever.
waiting for further command from the corporation that created them both.
So I don't know if anyone could follow that. Summary, it was kind of crazy. Pretty much everyone dies, either at the hands of Morgan or Leigh.
Everyone in the farmhouse dies except for Leigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end. If you entered that farmhouse, you died, unless you were Leigh.
Some of them did make it out of the farmhouse, only to die shortly thereafter. But
yeah, I guess
whatever.
That's a good point.
So, yeah, this one was a doozy. What do you think?
A doozy in what respect?
Well, okay, I really liked the first, really all of the first 2 acts. I was totally on board, and I really enjoyed it. But then it got lazy at the end. I feel like that final twist of Leigh being a robot was too much, and it was kind of like what we were talking about with the Hidden script, where there was that twist which, if anyone had asked you if this movie were to have a twist, what would it be?
Sure.
That's the first thing you would jump to, and likewise in this. I like a lot that Leigh's character throughout, when, before she's a robot, that already was kind of it made an impression on me, like, wow, she is actually really cold and clinical about her job. She's kind of like a robot. Yeah. But that's where it should have stopped. Like, that would have been enough of an interesting sort of commentary to say
like Blade Runner doesn't reveal conclusively the identity of Harrison Ford's character.
I'm not even saying it should be ambiguous. I would be fine with Leigh's character just being straight up human, and they're very clear about that.
Oh.
But just the fact that they are planting that idea in your head that humans can be rather robotic too, that's enough to make it like interesting and relevant to the like themes here. And it was just too I felt like it was the easy way out to take this ending. Like,
yes.
When Morgan turns on her own caretakers, I'm okay with that. That was cool. Especially because all of these scientists at this farmhouse are pretty crazy. They all have like issues pretty much. Especially, I really liked Kathy, that character. She was the one that was
Kathy
first
was
attacked.
The behaviorist.
Yeah, so she was the one that was first attacked by Morgan, which prompted this whole visit from Leigh in the first place. But you would think she would be like turned against Morgan after that. No, in fact, she's just like, no, she's my baby. She didn't know what she was doing, which is like just another layer of creepy.
Yeah, I guess off of that point, I liked how it was really creepy from the get-go how infatuated and defensive all of the people in the farmhouse were when it came to Morgan.
It's almost like a cult.
Yeah, a cult that they were like worshiping her, like she did wrong, but it's okay. Like she didn't mean it. They were so defensive.
Yeah.
And that was kind of creepy, and that led me to believe that maybe there was some sort of like manipulation going on because we're told that Morgan is brilliant and has all of humanity's knowledge.
Right.
But the problem is that's never paid off.
Right. Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for these. One, they're not being manipulated by Morgan. There's no sign of that.
No.
Two, the other conclusion then is they just have this great humanistic relationship with Morgan. They were there when she was created. They've nurtured her and raised her. But we never see any humanity from Morgan at all. So their feelings towards her are really inexplicable to us as readers.
Well, I don't know. Unless
you just look at it in the sense, in a clinical sense of they were there when she was assembled.
Right. Which I would have liked if they had said it was a little bit longer that they had been living with Morgan. I think it was only 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That's not as much time. I think it could have been a little bit more believable that they were really attached if it had been over a year or something.
But to that degree, it's kind of just absurd.
Like, there's no amount of time that they would be that attached, do you think?
No, well, not when they not when they portray Morgan as they do.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
There's nothing to the characterization of Morgan. We're told that she's very smart, but we never see her do anything smart. We're told that she's wonderful, but we never see any way in which she's wonderful.
She made them cupcakes.
Cupcakes.
Really good cupcakes.
And some dope risotto, but still.
The chef or the cook at the house that they have on staff was really pissed that Morgan just effortlessly made a really amazing risotto that he would have agonized over.
Right.
That I really liked that whole story. That line of his was great, I thought. But I thought Morgan was at least a little sympathetic towards the beginning. She kind of starts to lose her humanity more and more as it goes on.
Or at what point?
I think I just felt sorry for her mostly, like being trapped in that room.
But it was still...
I guess that's not quite the same thing, but I felt very sorry for her.
Sure, but I feel like it's hard to sympathize when you don't see the person as a human, and we never see Morgan as anything other than these people just slavishly praising her.
Yeah.
I really think that for it to work, for it to make sense for everyone in the farmhouse to have such an affinity for her, we have to see something of their relationship.
Yeah.
But when we're introduced to Morgan, it's in the immediate aftermath of her having, for no reason, attacked someone.
They show you a little bit of footage, which they don't go into much detail, but just home video footage of her hanging out with everyone before the attack, and they gave her a little bit more freedom. She wasn't confined to a cell, and I guess there was some stuff in there that might have humanized her.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough, especially when they're trying to be sly about it, using metaphor when Leigh arrives to like say, oh, like basically to hint at the point that, just because someone does something wrong doesn't mean they're bad.
Right.
Like they're saying this in code, but it's so obvious, and it just comes across as creepy.
And to what you were saying about it seeming like the staff, the scientists, were being sort of manipulated by Morgan.
Yeah.
I made note of that too, because there were a few parts where it was kind of eerie, where they would say, like, two different characters would say almost the exact same thing, to the point where I was like, all right, are these people like hypnotized or something weird? Like, they make the same sort of joke, I think two of them do, about like occupational hazards or something. There are two people that have a line about that, and I think there was another thing.
It's creepy, but then ultimately it's revealed just that they're trying to present a unified front of defending.
Right.
But we never see why she's worthy of... he is worthy of defending. There were several nice touches, though. I liked how different characters referred to Morgan as
a different gender.
Right. It was almost as though they were like projecting their wants onto her.
I liked that too, because they made a point at the beginning of saying, well, Morgan is post-gender. Yeah. She doesn't actually... I mean, they refer to her as she in the descriptions, but it's really just a non-gendered...
Right.
And of course, Leigh insists on calling it. Which is all the more interesting that she is one herself, and she still insists on...
Though the question maybe is Leigh aware of that?
Does she know she's a robot?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not.
I don't know.
Maybe the best robots don't know that they are robots.
Well, that's like the whole crux of robotics, right? Or
I don't know.
Or not. I don't know. That's not the right way to put it, but like if you achieve such self-actualization.
I guess it depends on what you're trying to make. If you're trying to make a robot that is the most human, it would have to think it is a human.
I don't know where I was going with that, but as you said, the third act just devolves into a like out and out thriller, which is disappointing because there's good atmosphere created in the first half.
Yeah. Like I would have loved it if and they almost go here. One of the people on staff named Amy is kind of like in a weird. She has kind of a
sexual
weird
relationship with her.
Yeah, with Morgan, and she actually makes off with Morgan in the car, in their car. They're like driving away from the farmhouse, about to just, I don't know, set out into the world, I guess. They're going for this lake. There's this one particular lake that Amy's been wanting to bring Morgan to see. So anyway, it would have been kind of cool if they just like got away with it, and she was actually trying to rehabilitate Morgan and like introduce her into the world. And if it was maybe kind of left more open-ended like that, like you don't really know what's going to happen to her, I would have liked that a lot more. It would have just been a little bit more like morally ambiguous about like what to do in this situation.
Right. But in this situation, it's clear Morgan's killing people seemingly for no reason.
She just becomes a killing machine, and then it's like obvious, okay, well, she just needs
There's no ambiguity or complexity to that.
Right. So that was, super disappointing. I agree.
And then the twist at the end is
that Leigh's a robot.
Is that Leigh's a robot too. And the company that created them both was basically just testing the effectiveness, the ability of Leigh to follow directives and execute them.
Well, I was telling Cal about this story, and he was like, because I was upset about the ending, and he was like, wait, so basically it's just like an episode of BattleBots is what this all amounts to, basically.
Yeah, though Morgan isn't aware that she's in an episode of BattleBots. And then it also seems like everyone on the farmhouse, they weren't trying to create a killing machine.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know. So it seems like there's a disconnect between the intentions of the corporation and the intentions of the people actually on the ground. In the sense that the corporation wants to create someone that follows directions to a T.
Right.
And executes everything perfectly.
Right.
But it seemed like the scientists there were treating this as, we're creating this new form of life, this person in possession of humanity and of like knowledge and like someone that with free will,
Steven,
kind of.
Yeah, maybe these scientists were themselves not the best at following orders, and they got a little grandiose and went off book, even though maybe the corporation told them, hey, we want a robot that does this. And they're
But
like,
there's no reason
I'm
to.
reading into that, I know. Yeah.
That's not even, I mean, yeah.
What?
It's like, well, I don't know, there's nothing there to suggest that.
No. Yeah,
I mean,
I have
maybe.
no idea. Maybe they just didn't get the memo. And that,
you would think if that were the case, they would have, like, said that at some point.
right.
Where,
The worst thing is, and maybe even creepier about this whole thing, is that Morgan is prompted to attack when she's trying to express love. She claims. It's like okay, so the character that I guess we found out just now is going to be played by, what's his name? The guy from, I can't remember his name at all now.
Brian Cox?
No, the other guy.
Toby Jones?
No, the
Paul Giamatti.
Yes, Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, he plays a psychologist that comes in to assess
Right.
Morgan.
But so my point was, the way that he ends up getting himself killed is because he starts prying with Morgan about how she expresses love, and something about that is what triggers her to attack, and that was what happened the first time as well. So, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely some wires got crossed in there if she thinks she's expressing love and she actually rips his throat out.
It's weird, yeah.
Actually, I want to read that
and
line.
that led me to two thoughts. While you find the line.
Yeah.
First, either they really fucked up in terms of how their creation expresses love, or it was like Morgan's a little clever and she does have this killing impulse, but she hides it under like.
Oh, she waits for you to be as vulnerable as possible by like letting you in and
that, but then also like appealing to the emotional side of the human being,
right?
And saying, "I hurt you, but I did it out of love. I'm sorry, I was in error." Because she says that so many different times.
That would be the perfect excuse, wouldn't it? It's like, oh, it's just a glitch.
Yeah,
I was trying to love you.
So I wonder then if it is a malfunction or if Morgan is kind of clever and is manipulating the feelings.
Which is much more like what happened in Ex Machina.
Yes,
actually.
Exactly. Which is a better movie. I
have to say so. I mean, based on the script, we haven't seen the actual film of Morgan yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really hoping this wouldn't be too much like Ex Machina, but maybe in the end it kind of is. But anyway, I wanted to read this line, which I think this will be Paul Giamatti's character. So they bring him in to give a psych evaluation to Morgan, and they bring him to see her, but then she's in her little cell. They keep her in like a very tiny room with glass walls, and they're just like, okay, here she is. And the doctor is like, are you serious? Like, I need to actually go in the room with her to be able to perform this evaluation. And they're like, well, for your safety, we think it's best for you to stay on the outside of the glass. And he says, Doctor, all due respect, but you need me sitting on the other side of the glass from this thing? Then I think it's safe to say they've already failed the psych evaluation.
Right.
Ooh, good one. Good line.
That is a sick burn right there.
Yes.
And also, very true.
I mean, a valid point.
Very true.
Yeah.
It was annoying how unprofessional Paul Giamatti was. He shows up late.
I kind of enjoyed...
Shows up a day late.
I enjoyed hating him, though.
I just don't buy that even in the midst of a nasty divorce, which his character is, he's going to, in like the middle of the offices, right before conducting a professional evaluation, be cursing at his wife on the phone.
Yeah, he was saying some really foul things when we first met him, when he first arrives. I just thought all of the characters, other than Leigh, who of course ends up being a robot or whatever anyway, they all were pretty messed up in some way, which I felt was on purpose to contrast the kind of cold, calculating nature of Morgan and Leigh. All these other people are like especially human, like especially, to err as human. They all have these flaws, and they all have especially emotional things about them, which are uniquely human. So that it worked for me on that level, and that was enough.
Yeah, okay.
And I
it feels
I enjoyed
a little broad
him.
to me, and it just comes across as weird. Even after Morgan brutally murders the psychologist, Paul Giamatti's character, who is a dick, yes, they still leap to Morgan's defense. It's weird.
That was crazy.
It's not if the what they're going for is that it is a human reaction to defend your child no matter what they've done. Maybe, sure, but you need to establish Morgan as the child of these people. You need to not just say it.
Yeah.
Not just let it be implied by the fact that they are the scientists that created Morgan, but you need to see an emotional back and forth.
Yeah.
Which is lacking here.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, too, you know what would have also been a fine ending that I would have enjoyed? Because I kind of left this plot point out. There was one story beat that I kind of skipped over because it goes by so fast. Before Morgan goes crazy and starts killing everyone, Leigh has already decided to terminate the program, and they're about to shut down Morgan. And just as they're about to do it, there's like a look that passes between a couple of the staff members, and then they suddenly shoot Leigh and tranquilize her, and then she wakes up in Morgan's cell, which is perfect, and I love all that. But so I was hoping...
Wait, why?
I don't know, just because this was before I knew Leigh was a robot, and I thought it would be cool, because, like, it's implying that she's kind of the robot now, because she kind of acts in this unemotional way. She was just going to, terminate Morgan without a second thought.
What do you mean without a second thought? Throughout she didn't arrive at the farmhouse determined.
Well, but I'm saying
she made the only reasonable conclusion, which was to terminate Morgan after Morgan murdered 2 people in there.
Yeah. I know, I agree with that. Okay. But I'm just saying, I think that would have been a really great way for the direction the story could have gone, was just now it's Leigh versus all the people in the house.
Sure.
And then it would have been sort of like a cult thing, like I was saying before, and maybe, again, you could leave the fate of Morgan a little more ambiguous in the end, but what it comes down to, what the crux of like the third act could have been, is Leigh versus the scientists who have all gone kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And that would have been much more interesting to me. Mm-hmm. So I think it could have taken that direction, or like I said, even if they did want to make Morgan into a killing machine still, which they did, it still would have been better if they hadn't just had everyone kill each other and Leigh being a robot in the end. So there were like so many other ways this could have gone. That's what's so frustrating.
It would have been interesting had, from that point on, once Morgan was freed, if we see Morgan as like a cultish leader. Like, as someone exerting like real manipulation over these people in some way. But really, I think what's lacking, or another thing that is lacking, is that Morgan doesn't want anything. She just wants to go to the lake.
Yeah.
And apparently kill everyone on her way there. But if she is actually... We never see her doing anything smart, which is problematic. She can cook, but...
Also, she listens to really cool, broad, diverse music, Steven. That was supposed to be a selling point of like, oh, look how smart she is. She listens to like classical music, but she also listens to like Beyonce and like Sabbath and Zeppelin and like...
But also like kind of obvious choices. Yeah, like who everyone's listened to those 4 bands.
But also,
I don't even like...
Yeah, me neither. I don't like Led Zeppelin for one, but... That was the thing I wanted to remark upon that I thought was kind of a cheap shot by the writer. It feels like a really lame way of defending your favorite bands by like writing a script where it's like, well, this being is the most hyper-intelligent like cyborg that's ever been created, and she likes Led Zeppelin, so it must be good.
But it kind of doesn't ring true to me too, because if someone is able to be exposed to all of the music ever created, I feel like they wouldn't pick 4 extremely obvious choices.
Which are
or
all
3
English,
and then 1 genre.
All of them in English too. Like I feel like there are probably lots of other cultures in the world that you could draw from.
Right. Like no doubt those are Zeppelin, Beyonce, Black Sabbath.
Those are like
great bands.
Best, like,
I mean, not all of them my favorites.
Yeah.
But all great bands. But also I feel like if this person is drawing from everything, and they have personal taste, they're not going to pick the most common choice of all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. Then I guess ultimately it's the screenplay is like it's condemning like corporate greed and corporate
which is so boring. Like,
well, it's boring. It's not boring in general. It's boring when it's just thrown in as a bookend to the screenplay.
Yeah.
When like we're revealed there's like a board meeting, and one of the dudes is completely unconcerned about all of the life that was just lost, and the other person says, so we just did this we just had all these people killed so we could assimilate our results. And they're like, yeah. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah, it was not really saying anything interesting.
No, unless it's equating kind of the corporate mindset with that of a robot, each following its own directive, the robot to kill and the corporation to
but still, that's
maximize profits.
Not an especially novel observation.
Nor is it drawn in a novel way here.
Yeah. I still kind of want to see this.
Yeah.
For a few reasons.
Uh-huh.
One is because there's that scene where Morgan takes all of its clothes off, which is, I just want to see what that's going to be weird. They make a point of saying she has no parts of any kind.
No genitalia. Yeah.
I just kind of want to see that, which I know that's a shallow reason, but there's that. Yeah. There's also the footage they show of the past attempts before Morgan.
Oh yeah, one
which
of those
sounded
is described.
Extremely graphic.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of curious to see that as well. There was like one of their attempts at building one of these cyborgs where it just like ripped itself apart and sounded pretty nasty. Yeah. So these are reasons that I might see it. It won't be because of the story though.
No. Yeah, ultimately I feel like it did some things well. There's some nice touches. It could have gone in interesting directions, but it ultimately didn't.
Okay, well. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah. First, let's talk about the fact that we're on iTunes.
Right.
Off-Screen Podcast. And that we love iTunes reviews and ratings.
Yes, please.
Also, we're on Stitcher. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Facebook.com/OSPodcast.
And the Twitter is @OSPodcast.
Right?
Yeah.
We love YouTube subscriptions too. We're up to 28. If we get
we love them. They're fine. It's weird to me that people listen to this on YouTube.
I think
who goes to YouTube for podcasts?
A lot of people. If you're at your desk at work.
I guess. You
just throw that on the browser, like a tab.
Anyway, we're there, so I support it.
Yeah, we're everywhere. But I'm saying if we get to 100
on YouTube,
100 subscribers, we can get a real URL. Like we can be like YouTube.com.
Is that all it takes?
I think so.
Oh, let's do it.
So
okay, I take back everything I said.
We can't do it ourselves. We need your help.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think iTunes is our. Well, I don't know. However you want to listen to us. We also have a website, which is beautiful. OSPodcast.com. You can find episodes there, all of them.
Did you say our email?
I haven't yet. I'm getting there.
Okay.
It's info@ospodcast.com. We've got a couple emails recently, and we love those.
Yeah.
So also I want to thank Jason for this recommendation.
Right, he emailed us.
Yeah, he emailed us about a week ago, and he had a few scripts that he wanted to see us do, and this was one of them.
Yeah.
And when at all possible, we're happy to oblige.
Yeah, we might be getting to more later, some of the other ones he mentioned.
Yeah. So okay. Cool. So thanks to Jason. Thanks to everyone who has sent us emails. We love to hear from you.
Yeah.
It's kind of motivating and makes us want to keep doing it.
It makes us feel like we're not just doing this for ourselves.
Right. And can we tease the fact that we have a special episode coming up?
We don't know how soon.
We don't know how soon.
But we will be having a guest.
Yeah.
On the show.
I don't think we want to say anything more than that.
That's fine.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. And I think we have to thank our listeners for that too.
Yeah, I mean, they're the ones that give us the legitimacy or seeming legitimacy, like that we're actually in a real...
Whatever modicum of... As I hit the microphone, whatever modicum of legitimacy we possess.
And professionalism.
Yeah. So on that note, verdicts?
Yeah, you go first. I have to think.
Okay, I'm going to pass on both. I liked the atmosphere. I liked the eerie sense that was developed, and I was intrigued by the kind of weird relationships between the characters, but they weren't paid off in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I'll go as far as to pass on the script, but I am gonna consider the writer. There were some things I really, really liked. Before it devolved and spun out of control in the third act, I actually really liked this. There were some really great lines and some really nice character moments. There were lots of characters here, but they all felt distinct to me. And yeah, it's just this. I just think it took the wrong turn at the end. So I'm willing to give the writer another chance. So
okay.
I'll consider the writer.
I thought kind of the way they were talking about how Dr. Shapiro, Paul Giamatti's character, was delayed. I thought that they actually had something to do with that.
It did seem really suspicious.
Like, it seemed like there was something more going on, and really there wasn't, which
Right.
is disappointing.
Yeah, that's a little bit annoying.
Anyways, on to next week.
Yeah. Okay, next week we're reading a script called Dude by Olivia Milch. A group of teenage girlfriends deal with life after high school.
Such specificity to that logline.
You know, I would prefer that. Do you want to hear this other one?
Yeah.
The story of four best girlfriends who must learn how to move forward but without moving on as they come down off the high of high school in this Fast Times-esque teenage comedy.
That's just jolly. Okay, they're both terrible.
Yeah.